What's good to get? What's good today? Goodbye. Got. What's good, YouTube? So today I'm bringing you a trade breakdown video. In this trade, I made $683.80 trading gold futures contract. So yeah, let's get into the trade. So today I took a buy. If you look at the chart currently, it looks like we're kind of more or less in a downtrend. I would be looking at sell opportunities as we are under the 200 EMA. We're rejecting the 13 EMA to the downside. You know, we got a bunch of wicks up top. Even if you look at current price action, you can see. And yeah, we're creating lower lows, lower highs. So that's, the clear trend right now. But when I took this trade, we were actually kind of a little range bound, coming off of a correction. After starting very bullishly at the open of the day. Here, I'll move to the 5 minute to show you all. But right, so this is the 15 minute. Well, but you can see it here as well. If you look down at the bottom around 9 o'clock, 8:30 time, when that market opened, gold just was heavily trading upward, and you can see also I have a line at 31.30. Because at the time that I took the trade, it was acting as support. You can see after that big initial momentum to the upside, there was we're like right now we're pulling back. Price started pulling back, and you could see right around that 31.30 there was like some sideways action just off the 15 minute even. I wasn't looking at the 15 minute. Let's go to the 5 minute, and so you can see it how I was seeing it. Move me out the way. But yeah, so we had made all of this push up here, right? This whole push when I came to the chart was around 10 o'clock. And so I'm thinking maybe we could see a continuation, but also we're kind of breaking out of this momentum, which led me to think we're probably in more of a corrective phase. But we also had this gap right over here, which also lines up with the 31.30. And so I was just thinking, we could get a bounce off of this area if there's some solid momentum as well and follow through. But that, as you can see, didn't end up happening. There was a couple of fake outs around that 31.30 level before price ended up just shifting to the downside, as you can see. However, again, within that indecision, within that range bound market, we were able to take opportunities. So what I look for when I'm placing a trade, now we started this on the 5 minute. I don't know why I'm on the 2 minute, but anyway, we started looking at this on the 5 minute. And typically what I look for is for price to be either above or below the 200 EMA, and for price to also be filling some sort of gap. And like what I mean is, like, for example here, when price pulled back, when we broke above this 200 EMA, price pulls back and into this area right here where there was kind of a gap in the market. It's hard to tell because the candles have already played out, but like try to imagine before this white candle was here and any of these candles after the fact, as soon as this candle closed and this one opens right here, there is just empty space from this entire candle right here. So that is a gap in the market that we could see gets filled with this pullback. And then we have, now the next thing I'm looking for is after, for example, we get that pullback. So in this scenario, right, we're above the 200 EMA, we get the pullback, and then we get a break of the candle. Basically we get a candle that actually breaks the high of the previous candle, which is kind of the first sign of the pullback being done. Now there's also other things I look for, like price pulling into like a supply and demand zone, which I'll just go ahead and start breaking down the trade that I took now. Because since I was looking at the 5 minute, and with that same thought process, we have a gap right here. We could see from this candle to this candle wick low, there's just a gap in this market. Price is pulling back. I seen right here we had the first fake out. Price broke the candle high, and I could have got in there, but the only reason I didn't was just because, again, we had just kind of broken out of this initial trend. So I'm thinking the trend could be changing. So I don't want to get caught up in just thinking that this is a buyer's market when it's not. Plus, price at this point had pulled below the 200 EMA, which typically I wouldn't take buys in that scenario. But you'll see when we get to the 1 minute, we're actually above the 200 EMA on the 1 minute. So that's why I was okay and confident in taking that buy. So again, what ended up happening, we got another entry confirmation right around here, and this is the position I have marked up. Excuse me. Anyway, sorry, notification was popping up, but you probably won't even see it anyway, so I'll just cut it out the video. So get back to them later. So anyway, we have price breaking the candle high right here, and I typically will, once we get a break up the candle, whether it be a buy or a sell opportunity. Now, because we're under the 200 EMA on the 5 minute, I really wouldn't have called this a buy opportunity, but sometimes you can take a counter trend play, for example, and it play out like when price initially started this pullback, right? It's just you kind of can't ever tell when price is going to turn around, so you want a little more confirmation, right? I think taking a sell at this high is maybe a little risky, but we have this gap in the market, so knowing that that needs to be filled, as long as you just know like where to put your stop loss, right? And in like this scenario, you would put your stop loss above the high. So as soon as you got to break that candle and you're trying to target this gap here, you put your stop loss above the high and, you know, set your TP right at the close of that gap, and you know, that's your risk parameters. So here anyway, try not to get too off the trade that I'm explaining, but so here anyway, that's what I was kind of thinking, like at some point maybe we could see, because we have had this gap filled, we could see price start to go up. And then what I noticed is, like, even though we had some selling opportunities, some sell setups, a break of this candle right here, we still had price like kind of pushing up and breaking that and taking those sellers out and not really fully completing the move, the 1-to-1, or going to target, say, like this next gap here in the market. We see it not happening, and you know, you have to ask yourself, well, what could be going on? I seen price breaking to the upside and downside, so I'm thinking this is the level of interest. That's when I marked up the 3130 level just as a roundabout number where it kind of seemed price was bouncing off of, and I marked up this counter trend liquidity grab like trade. You know, even though we're under the 200 EMA on the 5 minute, I marked up the move just to kind of see, like, because we also have at this point a gap up here, right? And price could pull up a little higher before selling off some more. So with that in mind, you know, we could go to the 1 minute now and see more of what I was seeing at the time in more detail even. So on the 1 minute, here, I'll delete this, but I had that 5 minute like counter trend move in mind. Now I'll also delete this because this was just another position. If you guys go back and watch the live stream, I also live streamed the day. It's on my YouTube channel, and you'll see that I just marked up another position after the trade I took, just to kind of just show again like the strategy and just like how I look for confirmations, how I look for trades, where I set my stop losses and stuff like that. So you could go watch that. It's up already, you know, it's posted. But I just wanted to break down these trades a little more, or this trade in particular a little more, so that way if anybody who was watching the live or goes back and sees the live is confused, you have this trade breakdown to go a little more into detail, to give you a little more perspective around the matter. But yeah, so coming to the 1 minute, and something I didn't mention earlier in this video is, you know, also having those breaks of structure. You know, when it comes to trading, you have to understand the fundamental thing that's called market structure. And if you don't know what market structure is, you know, I can make a video on that too. I actually already have a video on market structure, so you just gotta go through all my videos. I have a lot of videos, but it's literally titled "What is Market Structure," and it's a video by me, and I draw pictures and I explain market structure and stuff like that, intermediate structure, and the kind of a little bit of higher time frame and lower time frame influence with structure, like how you can have structure within structure, which is essentially what happened here today. We've seen some sideways movement on the 5 minute, and there was really no structure being formed around there. But if you go to the 1 minute, then we could see that around this same time we had a break of structure right here. You know, we broke this structure, created this high, you know, so we kind of had this formation. When price pulled back into this, and then we had a gap right after this push up here. We had a gap from this candle low to this candle high, from this candle low to this candle low right here, right? We have a gap that could be filled. So I'm looking at like, okay, price could definitely come into that gap, fill it, and then continue this upward momentum, right? And then if we were on the 1 minute, we could see we have, you know, the 200 EMA is below it, so that also signifies in some way, you know, on this time frame at least, there's some support right here. It's kind of an uptrend, and you know, overall I could see we had that sideways like range bound action, but you know, it was still one of those opportunities where we had the gap above on the 5 minute. I'm thinking price could pull back a little bit more before continuing down, and seeing the support that we had on the 1 minute just, you know, kind of confirmed that a little bit. It ended up not happening like that. which is why, you know, I don't target all the time for like 1-2s, 1-1s. If anything here, like I said, we had this gap right here too. Now when we push down and we got the break of the candle to the upside, right, we're above 13 EMA at that same move. We're above support, we're above the 200 EMA. Everything is lining up at this point, and we even from this push down created a gap up here in the market. So I targeted that 1-1, which price pushed a little further into the gap, didn't quite meet all the way, but it was enough to get my target met as far as where I was placing my stop loss based on this initial pullback. So when I hop in the trade, I'm placing my stop loss. If I'm in a buy, I'm placing it below the recent swing low. If I'm in a sell, like for example, if I were to take this sell up here at the break of the candle, I would place my stop loss above this high, right? And then I would target, like I said, those gaps are just a 1-1. And yeah, you could also always you know, take off half of your position. If you drop more than like one contract, you say, you could drop half of your position, leave a runner, set your stop loss at break even once that TP1 is hit. You know, you could, like I said, take off that's when you take off half of the position, is when TP1 is hit. That 1-1, go ahead, get you something, secure something, take your money, and then make sure that the remaining part is like risk-free. Stop losses at break even, or maybe even a little into profit, and however it goes. You check on the trade a little bit. Maybe you just set that TP2 for like you have another target, you see the gap, maybe you think the gap is going to fill or whatever, or that's what you want to target, then you can do that. Yeah, but I think that's all I have for you guys. I think you know, hopefully that explains the trade very well. Oops. Like I said, I just wanted to do this video because I already did the live, and just for anyone who's seen the live, but like I didn't give enough information in the live because it's like once I'm take my trade, I'm more or less trying to get off. I've been on the live was like not too long, honestly, maybe like 40 minutes, but I got into trading to get my freedom back, and I think you probably did too. So, but even if you just pick this up as a side hustle, like you're a workaholic and you love working like that, or you love where you're at and you just want to do this on the side, that's okay too. You know what I mean? But either way, you don't want to give too much time to the charts. You want to give your time to the charts when you're learning, when you're studying all of these concepts and the, you know, the terminology and stuff like that. But when it comes to actually trading and being actively on the chart to do that, and you know, you don't want to give it too much time unless you're getting paid to be there for your time also, or unless like you're, I mean, everybody's different, you know. Let me not go and say what you don't want to do. Maybe you're that super freak who trades all day or sits on the charts all day and you're, you know, you're good or whatever, you're placing your trades in. If you're a good profitable trader, you know, obviously this video isn't for you though. You're not here if you're watching this, you don't need to hear this if that's where you're at. So while you're watching this video, I don't know, maybe you just appreciate me, you fuck with me. If you fuck with me, I fuck with you regardless. And I'm wish everybody good luck. With that being said, I got high hopes. So hopefully, if you found this video informative, let me know. If you found it as an assist in any way, or like a help in any way, yeah, just let me know. Let me know what I did good. Let me know what I could have did better. I actually didn't think I was going to post another video all year aside from the live streams, but I think I wanted to go ahead and do this just because, I mean, it's not too much for me to do. I felt like I enjoy giving to the community in any way I can, you know. So yeah, we did that. Go do you and be awesome. I'm going. If I could stop the video.